So let's talk about practical ways how to gain speed and increase output. So we're going to learn about why, first of all, why do we need to be fast and efficient? Isn't it enough just to get it done, no matter what the pace is? Or I mean, what's usually the cause for delays? And life seldom goes as we plan. Like, yeah, we have this plan that let's start a business, and or let's start a new brand, or let's start launching these new product assortment, product portfolio, and then something else happens. It doesn't go exactly like plan. Like, first of all, the timelines don't match, and so on. Then there's all sorts of surprises. So what's usually causing these delays? And then what can we actually do to prevent it? So different kind of routines and planning practices needing to master, and so on. And okay, fine, it's not all about business, but at least for me personally, it's also about being able to have a good time, and being not just having like healthy business, but having a healthy body and healthy mind as well. So taking self-care seriously, and how to prioritize this efficiency, and battling against this information overload, because we are living in this information age where we are just bombarded with all sorts of information, like 24/7. Just open your mobile phone and boom, 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 boom. I mean, there's countless. If you have enabled notifications, then every single app in your phone pretty much wants to send you notification whenever something happens, and so on. So I always like this saying by Peter Drucker, who was this management theorist, that there's nothing quite so useless as doing with great efficiency something that should not be done at all. So that's why it's always been important for me not just to become really efficient, not just be able to use the time well, but also like constantly keeping in mind that, okay, are we actually doing the right things? Are we really prioritizing the things that we should be doing? And this is such a common thing in my background is in software development. So there we see this thing happening all the time. Oh, okay, we are developing all sorts of features that customers don't even need. So it's complete waste. Or then we just think about ways how we can actually increase, optimize different things, optimizing speed of certain things, but it shouldn't be even done. It's complete waste, right? So it's actually the good practice to have this kind of mindset, or have this kind of approach for our businesses as well. Like, are we really doing those things that we should be doing, and are really optimizing the things that actually make sense to optimize? Because if you're spending, like, let's just talk about, like, let's take, for example, some kind of reports. Yeah, we want to get these reports faster and have all these, especially with the, there's so many different things, so much information that we can do about, so much data that we can gather about inventory levels, products, product listings, different kinds of, for example, all the way from all the metrics about advertising, all the metrics about the product listings, or all sorts of things about traffic. But does it really make sense to gather all that data? Or what if we would just instead actually focus on the things that really make the most sense, that really are the things that actually move the needle? So whenever we have these kind of reports, so it's always good to question that, okay, is this really, what kind of indicator is it? I mean, is it something that actually leading, or is it lagging, or is it something that if we focus on this one key metric here, that, I mean, are we able to have the maximum output that we can? Yeah, Eva is saying, choose your battles, and if it's worth doing, it's worth doing well. Yes. So, okay, anyway, why do we need to be fast? Why do we need to be fast, efficient, and effective? So we just like stated that it's not enough to be efficient. No, we need to be effective as well, meaning that we are doing things that, you know, are worth doing. So it's not enough to be efficient. It's not enough to be fast. It's not enough to be effective only. Why? Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, to be able to really have the competitive advantage, that so that we are able to launch products faster, we are able to test our different ideas that we have quickly on the market, instead that we just, you know, launch one product a year and just put our cross our fingers and hope that, yeah, hopefully it's gonna take off and hopefully there's no surprises. And then maximize your output, meaning that it's not equal to the hours that you put in, but ideally you want it to be bigger than your output to be bigger than just the single hours that you are personally putting in. So maximizing the output, maximizing the results, and then being able to have sustainable pace. Like, let's say that we take we start working like crazy. Like, it's always easy to cut down on sleep, right? So let's just sleep less. Let's just work more hours, because, you know, that's an easy way to how to fix something. I mean, let's just add some more hours. Let's make our team just work longer hours. Let's just make them do overtime. Okay, we are personally now doing working not 24/7, but anyway, as close to it as possible. And then let's just cut out all the exercise, because you know, it's we can instead be working on that time. And no, let's just cut out lunchtime, because we can be working. And let's, you know, let's wake up at 2 a.m. every morning and so on. Okay, how long are we able to do that? How long would you be able to keep up some kind of extreme measures that are not really planned, or not even created for the purpose that you can be doing it for weeks, months, years to be? Because this is what really the reason is, that so that we are able to work in such a manner that we will never ever burn out, and instead we can work in this space for years to come without even struggling, right? And yeah, I mean, at least for me personally, why do I want to be fast, efficient, and effective? Yeah, so that I can enjoy life, so that I can actually work less. So I can actually put in the minimum amount of hours from my time and still still have high output, still have like better and bigger results. Because, you know, the worst case in many, at least in my opinion, is that you pour a lot of your effort and time into something, and then I mean, you work all the time, but still you don't really have much to show for. Like, your business is still not taking off. And that's why it's not enough just to increase the input. No, it's just, I mean, just increasing input doesn't necessarily increase the output. So that's why we really need to have all these different things in mind. So anyway, what's usually causing these delays? Like, okay, for example, let's say procrastination. So, okay, you have a product idea. So why haven't you already launched it? Like, what's holding you back? Typical, most common reason is that like, why you keep procrastinating is just this uncertainty. I mean, yeah, it just doesn't seem like good enough. No idea, no product idea just seems good enough. So having this fear of failure that, I mean, what if it doesn't work? Like, let's say that I pour in all this time and effort into the product and it doesn't work. I just wasted all my time and money that I put in. Or then fear of having other kinds of challenges. But instead, we should actually view these challenges as normal part of the business journey and be willing to take calculated risk. And that's why we are like tooting all the time this low risk, low budget approach. And then, the 4-week kind of launch, meaning that, okay, I have an idea for a product. I see that, okay, this is actually a pretty good product opportunity. So I'm not going to spend 4 months, 3 months, 2 months to get product live. Now, instead, let's get something live within 4 weeks so that we are already one step further. Then, I mean, it might really be, I mean, the most common cause for stress is usually unclarity, that you want to launch a product, but you're not really, all the steps are not really clear. You don't know exactly what you should be doing at every step of the way. So this, basically, it means having this lack of strategic planning. So instead, having this clear, realistic plan, outlining the goals and strategy, it's really becomes, it really is essential. And then, I mean, having this resistance to change, meaning remaining instead, like being able to open to new ideas is essential. So instead, like, accept innovation and make necessary changes to keep up with the market trends. And I can tell you, like, let's just talk about this like 4-week launch approach, like this low risk, low budget launch approach. I mean, most sellers are so strongly against it. Well, not really against it, but they are just thinking that, that's nice idea, but that's not how I'm gonna launch my next product. Because I know, I mean, I'm just gonna do it like different way, and this time it's gonna be different. And I want to spend more time on product research. I really want to be like developing and really making the product better and better and better. And then, whoops, they spend like 4 months in getting first sale. Why would you take such kind of risk? It's usually because, I mean, people are used to doing it, like, for example, product launches in a certain way, and it's super difficult for them to internally change, to have different kind of approach. That's why, like, it's so much easier for new people who haven't done any product launches to start following this approach, because you don't really need to unlearn. There's nothing to unlearn. Instead, you can start from blank piece of paper, and so it's there's really is no resistance to change. And then, I mean, task management is pretty much using the time available in the smartest way possible, pretty much. So, and this really has to be the better, that the less time there is available. Like, let's say you only have like 3 hours a week to work on your business. I mean, it doesn't mean that you cannot do it 3 hours per week. No, I mean, it just means that, okay, then you better be sure that you are using those 3 hours to the things that really matter. So you cannot spend like 2 hours watching videos and then the last hour on actually, sending emails to suppliers. No. It should be 100% just focused on the high level activities that really makes sense. And then on all the time, like when you have a VA, and why everyone should have a VA is that you are able to constantly keep your own table clean, constantly being able to just delegate everything. And then doing the different things, I mean, having the right tools, especially as Amazon sellers. I mean, there's new tools popping up all the time, and some of them are better than others, but we kind of need to have the kind of mindset in this game that when some new tool pops up, that we should actually take the time to just try it out, see what happens, and see, like, does it actually make our life easier, and are we able to save something? Are we able to cut down cost or cut down time or anything else? Okay, let's talk a bit about this workflow and planning. So, I mean, I'm a big advocate for getting things done. And if you don't know anything about getting things done, I mean, at least start doing this rule that if something takes you less than 2 minutes to do, I mean, just do it immediately. Just don't even bother like creating add it on the list, and just do it straight away. So maybe it's sending email, maybe it's just contacting some person, or downloading something from Sellers and or whatever. I mean, just if it's less than 2 minutes, then get it done immediately. And then second thing would really be is that when you're thinking of projects, then think about dropping it down to always the next single action. And typically, I mean, in business, there's plenty of these unpleasant things to do. And for me, those kind of tiring aspects are usually the kind of like bureaucracy and kind of things like administration, going through some papers that I need to sign, and then tax reports, doing that kind of stuff. I mean, I get zero pleasure out of doing those. But the mind usually wants to, at least for me, like procrastinate. I don't want to do it now. I mean, maybe I'll do it later. But I usually have the approach that, okay, I mean, what's just I mean, it's gonna take me several days to do these things, and I don't even know where to start. But okay, fine. What is the next single action I could do just to move it a bit, like once, just even a tiny baby step further. Like, okay, I can actually send an email to this person and ask what it means, or maybe I can just start like reading through it, and first minute, at least for me, like my mind says, this is horrible corporate text. I don't want to keep reading, but I will just do it for a few minutes, and then usually what happens is that okay, well, I just started it, so I might as well finish it. So I keep reading the whole thing and then just get it done, right? So, but just focus on starting or focusing on finishing instead of starting, and really focusing on that. Okay, I will just do it 1 minute and just a few minutes. It's a way how to trick your mind that being able to do those unpleasant things as well. And yeah, I mean, absolutely delegate everything that really isn't depend, or basically something that is able to be delegated, and that's definitely something that we should get out of our table. And having different kind of automation, for example, reports and stuff like this. And then also, like, one thing is reflecting, but basically if you follow the weekly planning system that we have, then having these weekly retrospectives and those things, that's basically the time to have this self-reflection. By the way, what kind of tools do you have for task management, let me know in the chat. And one thing I recommend to think and consider like every day. For every day, you can do it. Maybe, I mean, usually it makes sense to think about it like previous evening, but just consider like just 1 to 3 outputs that you want to get done for the day. Okay, so we have our week plan for the week, that weekly goals that we actually want to do, but still, okay, let's just think a bit that, okay, tomorrow we need to get, I just want to get this one thing done. So I'm actually, the thing is that like if we are choosing only one thing, then I mean, by definition, it also has to be big enough in order to count. Because let's say that during the whole day, you are only allowed to do one thing. What would it actually be? And I wouldn't go past 3 things, because let's say if you are listing 6 different things that you're gonna do tomorrow, then I mean, it's 2 small things, it's 2 small tasks. So just focusing on 1 to 3 big things that you really want to get done for the day. Then a weekly plan and weekly goals. I would say that if you're not doing anything else, then you should absolutely just do this. Weekly goals, which just means that you plan and review the week ahead, and then identifying the key priorities. And by the way, if if you want to do this and you're not using our templates, then just let us know, and I will send you a link, and we can send the link on Slack. And what we also do is that we typically have like, not necessarily every week, but usually we try to have like some kind of brainstorming sessions that are separate from this weekly goal session. And I like to have those brainstorming sessions just to 45 minutes. And one thing is that it's not only for me, but I'm also like teaching and educating kind of like behavioral manner for my team, because I mean, I want that they actually give me ideas and they are not just doing what I'm telling them to do. Because, you know, if everyone, imagine if you have had a company and everyone only does what you are telling them to do. I mean, it's going to be a pretty weak company. I mean, the output is going to be pretty small, because imagine that you have to tell even the tiniest thing to people, and if you don't tell it, then they are not going to do it. So it's going to be super like super weak company that is 100% dependent on you. And I'm sure like nobody, like none of us started the business thinking that, yeah, I want to have a business that is like 100% dependent on me, which means that if I'm away, then nothing is going to happen. So no, I mean, personally, I started because of freedom. Usually it applies to many of us. That so only way that we are able to have that freedom when we have like team is if the team, it doesn't depend on us for every single thing. Then annual planning and the quarterly OKRs. I mean, I basically have a whole system. Maybe I can talk about it since it's since the year is changing, and this is usually, well, this is kind of last minute already to do it, but still better late than never. So I have this whole approach, how I think about how I approach annual planning, and it's usually through these quarterly OKRs, which are like objectives and key results. So this kind of system is also used by Google. So, but that's something that we are going to have a like different session. Okay, but when we really want to maximize our own energy levels so that we just don't burn out, or we don't get fed up, or we don't get like demotivated, then it's kind of mandatory that we take this like self-care seriously. Because I mean, motivation and energy it kind of comes and goes. meaning that when we start the new project, typically we are super hyped about it, like, yeah, this is going to be so awesome, and yeah, it's going to have this and this and blah blah blah. But let's say that it doesn't go like we plan, that there are issues that we couldn't foresee, we haven't got any results, or at least to the extent that we wanted. So the energy kind of dies and the motivation kind of dies. So usually what's going to happen is that if we are not taking care of this self-care, then I mean it might just happen that we just get fed up with the whole thing, that we don't want to even continue the whole project again. So what are the things that we can actually do so we wouldn't end up here? I mean, obviously, if all the time in the business we would keep getting these results all the time, then I mean that would pretty much like get our, I mean, extend this hype that this is cool, so we are all the time like hitting records and records and so on. But let's say that maybe we are in a situation that it doesn't happen. So what are really things that we can do so we are not dependent solely on these results of our business? So meaning that we are able to, move past beyond those times when we feel like quitting, or if the business isn't going at the pace we want, then we don't get this mood that I don't feel like working on this business right now. I need a break. So obviously we don't want to have that kind of situation that, you need to take a vacation of your business because you don't want to work on it. So what are things that we can answer, usually do? So, I mean, when we are talking about energy, then there's many different things that we can actually do here. So proper nutrition. So, I mean, it definitely matters what we actually eat. So we basically want to eat in such a way that we have the energy and nutrition needed for like decision making and creativity. And by the way, has anyone done fasting? I have done this fasting like in longer periods, not just 1 day or 2 days. I did this like 5-day fasting. And that's a time when you really realize that, okay, so nutrition, energy, food actually matters, because when you don't have food, then thinking becomes difficult, and it's kind of, you don't have this energy even that I don't have any energy to think, and it's difficult to come up with ideas and so on. So if you ever want to try fasting, then you will definitely experience it, that it's just super difficult to think if you're not having any kind of nutrition. But anyway, I mean, one thing is regulating these blood sugar levels. So one way is that, okay, eating rhythms, so providing this steady source of energy throughout the day. And of course, like, people are different, and maybe some people are like, I remember like the Twitter founder Jack Dorsey was praising this, that he eats only once a day during the evening, and that's it, like once a day. Okay, fine. If that's the way that you have your best output, then I mean, who is anyone to tell him that no, you're doing it wrong, you shouldn't do that? No, I mean, if it works for him, then cool. But I know that, at least for me personally, I wouldn't like it. Like, I want to have these kind of rhythms, or that, I'm all the time getting enough energy. And of course, it also depends on the body type. So depending what kind of body type you have and how you actually need energy. And one thing is also what are you used to? Like, just think about this simple thing, like, do you eat breakfast? Do you eat breakfast in the morning? like usually there's two kind of people, like people who eat breakfast and then people who don't eat breakfast. I mean, they just might drink a cup of coffee, but that's it. So I would say, I mean, I have done both ways, and for me personally, it's been just only thing that, okay, it's a matter of what I'm used to. So if I'm eating breakfast every morning, then my body gets used to like needing breakfast every morning. But let's say that no, I want to switch it, that I want to stop eating breakfast, then I could basically get used to that as well. But anyway, so if we give the body like consistently energy, then we can we might experience these energy crashes where it's just super difficult to focus on anything. So it's much better to Eva is saying skipping meals because of sudden hyperfocus is intermittent fasting by accident. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, what kind of nutrition to consume? Well, yeah, I mean, obviously protein because mood, cognition, healthy fats, beneficial for brain health, fat-free dairy products for calcium, vitamin D, antioxidants. So berries and dark chocolate help protect the brain from stress, and then limiting added sugars and really like processed foods. And yeah, drinking plenty of water throughout the day. And it was interesting, like when I did that like 5-day fasting, I mean, the person who had like developed this is what he was saying. So don't shoot the messenger, but he was saying that most damaging foods, and he was this eating fasting expert who had done these clinical tests since the 90s. But anyway, he was saying that the most damaging foods to eat are like processed meat. So processed means that basically anything, what processed means that when it goes through certain process, and then, okay, obviously ultra processed means that is, you know, it has gone through many periods of this, that you know, certain things that, you know, it's far away from natural. And he was also saying second thing is grilled meat, and then third thing was also processed sweets. Anyway, that was his opinion. So don't shoot the messenger if you are consuming all this. And one thing that I actually noticed myself that kind of helps as well is like just like 12-hour fasting every day, which means that, okay, if you eat breakfast at 8 a.m., then you eat your last meal at 8 p.m. And come on, that's like super easy to do. I mean, it's just 12 hours. So usually what I read about this is that, I mean, if you're doing like intermittent fasting, like 16 hours and so on, so it's fine to do it like let's say for certain weeks or months, but you shouldn't do it like all the time, every day, like you know, every day, 24/7 pretty much. So because then at least according to this scientist, I mean, there's damaging effects that might actually occur. But he was saying that you can't do 12-hour fasting every day. So what it does is just it improves metabolism and cognitive function, allows the body to enter this kind of fasting states, promoting cellular repair and overall health. And let's say that if you wanted to do some, if you want to lose weight, or you want to whatever, like cut down your eating, then this is a kind of easy way, because when you just limit the amount of time when you're allowed to eat, then it's a pretty simple way how to cut down your calories, right? Then sleep. I mean, that's one thing we definitely cannot emphasize enough. And oftentimes for us entrepreneurs, that's often the thing that we cut down on first, right? Because let's say we are working on important projects. So what often happens is that we're gonna work late on it, and then we might, especially if you have like a day job, then you might actually wake up super early before your like before your work, just to have add the extra hours. But if you are thinking about like long term and sustainable pace, then that's pretty much a mistake. So instead, we should aim for getting like consistent sleep. And again, sure, I mean, everyone is different and it depends on the person and so on. But okay, what's usually said is that aiming is for 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. And I mean, I would say it's really like critical for business owners who usually like face these high stress level situation that, oh, okay, oh my God, the listing just got shut down. That, oh, okay, oh my God, we just experienced it. Oh, we got this threatening letter from some nasty lawyer or whatever. So, I mean, when we have proper amount of sleep and nutrition, so then it's just by doing that, it's easier to have more like natural or like less stressful response to this kind of situation. Like, oh, okay, well, this thing happened, but yeah, so what? I mean, let's just figure out what should we do about it. So instead of crying about it, let's just brainstorm that, okay, what can we actually do here? What are the things that we should be focusing on here? What are the things that we can do about it, and not only to fix it, but also improve things that, the same thing is not going to happen in the future as well. So it's much easier to be creative when you have had enough of sleep and nutrition as well. I mean, it's super difficult to try to innovate when you have sleep depression. I mean, when you're not getting enough sleep and when you're not getting enough food either, it's gonna be pretty difficult to think, right? So, and then really like taking breaks, pretty much like cutting down not really cutting down, but dividing your work day into certain things. So scheduling short breaks to recharge and avoid burnout. The thing is that if you think about our body, our physical body, then this line of work is not really good for our body, because if we just work and if we are just sitting, I mean, just sitting for 8 hours per day, I mean, that's toxic for our back. That's toxic for our body. So we should do everything we can so we don't end up in this situation that we are just like sitting for extended periods. I mean, even if we just sit down for 2 hours, that's already too long for our body. So we should be moving. We should give our bodies not necessarily even break, meaning like, let's say that we are having some course or whatever. I mean, it's much better if you're actually, just having the headphones and just walking around during that time. You're using that time to really give our body what it actually needs, which is movement, instead of just sitting on our asses for 3 hours straight. Yeah, so I mean, regularly practice activities like walks, exercise, and meditation. And yeah, about sleep, one thing is also that we shouldn't really do any heavy exercise. I mean, if you really want to maximize sleep, then we shouldn't do like heavy exercise, like at least 2 hours before sleeping. And same thing with eating, because it really can have like big impact on the quality of the sleep. So because eating, okay, then we're gonna have a digestion, and exercise. Like I remember one time I was doing this workout program, and we have a team at our at our garage, which meant that I could go to the gym whenever I can go to the gym whenever I want. So I was doing this workout program, and there are certain things you need to do every day. So if you cannot really skip days. So at one point, like I realized, oh man, it's gonna go. I had a really busy day, so which meant that. But I took the workout program seriously, which meant that I'm gonna do the workout no matter what. So it ended up so that I was at the gym like at my home at like 12 at midnight. So I went maybe just before midnight, and I remember I was at the bed like probably close to 1 a.m. or something, and it was pretty difficult to try to start sleeping like straight after the workout. So that's definitely not a good practice. And yeah, same thing with reducing screen time for really better relaxation and improved sleep, and really can reduce this eye strain and fatigue. And about exercise is that, there's many ways. Blah, blah, blah. We all need to do exercise, but it makes much more sense that if we find something that, works for us the best way. And what I personally like is that, I like doing like these kind of morning walks. So I start the day, just go for like 1 hour walk, and it's not really. I usually want to keep a fast pace, not running, but still, so that the heartbeat goes up a little. And what I used to do is that I used to fill all this time by listening to audiobooks. I kind of realized that, and I'm going through different kinds of training, but I realized that I ended up in this situation where I was like cluttering my mind. Like every time I had some break, I was just listening to different things. So meaning that when I was taking out the dog or whatever, I was listening to audiobook. When I was out with my kid in the park, I was listening to audiobook. But I stopped doing it because then I realized I'm just it's much actually better to use that time, like let's say that 1 hour every morning, just doing nothing, like giving a break to your mind, and maybe just opportunity to empty your mind and getting just rid of all things instead of just ended up in this clutter.
Danny.
Yes, sorry, go ahead.
Best inspirations when I just stare at the wall.
Exactly.
That's crazy, it may sound, but like how rare it is these days for us to not to do anything, be totally cut off from all stimulus.
Exactly.
Stimuli.
Like imagine, like even if you're in a situation where you need to, like where modern person needs to wait 1 minute, let's say in a queue, or even sitting in a bus or subway or whatever. Do they actually do nothing? No, they don't. They immediately take out their phone and just bombarding your mind with information. So all of us need this time that we are not doing anything with our mind. We just let it be. Don't give it any information, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like Renaissance at large. Like these days, there are like bars that kind of like differentiate by taking phones away from people when they get there. It's like funny how we're going backwards in some ways. Like it's just to get a better focus. You actually want to go to a bar where they actually take away your phone so you can pay better attention. It's like kind of crazy if you start thinking about it. But...
Yeah, I remember reading some sign at this cafe saying that, no, we don't have a Wi-Fi. Talk to each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
yeah, it's a good point. Like, for everybody, I think to stop and ponder for a while. Like, when was the last time you actually did not do anything? Because I strongly resonate with that. When I just often used to go for walks, and obviously still do, but at one point I realized I actually don't want to listen to audiobooks all the time, because there's like this constant chatter in your head, which is otherwise there all the time. So sometimes it's just better to, I don't know, some people go surfing. It's kind of like meditative in the sense that you don't have access to those cell phones or whatever. If you go to sauna, you hopefully don't have your phone there either. So you just kind of have to be aware of those moments. Insert them in your daily life.
I actually remember seeing, I don't remember which country was it, but anyway, I was at this like public sauna, and one guy was with his phone there. So even in sauna, like, come on, you really need your phone.
Correct.
Yeah.
Fucking perfect.
Crazy. So Dan is saying eating in Zoom meeting is embarrassing. Fasting is not. Well, yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, so different things. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, the reality is that for the daily to-do list for Amazon sellers, I mean, it can be super extensive, because, I mean, basically there's always things you can do if you really want to do. So not only about new ideas, but just, managing the existing operations. That, okay, there's always something to do for the listings. There's always something to optimize, like advertising or whatever. So basically, when we don't want just to waste our time, it really requires that we take really prioritize the things that we want to give our personal time. And it's there's a huge difference where I want to give my personal time versus I want to give my team's time. Like, it's fine that if some days are wasted for a team member, then okay, fine, it happened. So one person went through all these reports about whatever, but okay, it kind of we realized that actually you shouldn't have done it at all. But like, if if it's actually your time on the line, then I mean, my God, like, we shouldn't waste our time like this, right? And yeah, I mean, pretty much like delegating everything possible, but also, I mean, there are certain things that we never want to delegate, or at least we want to keep like a close eye on it. And obviously, money related things, if we are talking about placing orders, paying the invoices. So if you have the one paying for the invoices, then we definitely need to know that, okay, why do we have this invoice? What does it account for? Like, okay, what's the plan for where all this inventory is being sent? And then definitely like all new product launches, and like pretty much we as business owners, we need to keep an eye on all those things that actually are the most critical things for the business. And okay, money is always one thing. Then energy. Yeah, I mean, step one is always being self-aware about this. So, I mean, just by starting to being more conscious about it, like, where do we actually spend our time on? What are the things that, like, if we start tracking it and start realizing, okay, so I just spent like 2 hours just browsing through different emails, and actually it didn't even really matter. So then it kind of feels like, I mean, there are definitely better things that we should be spending our time. But one thing is also like these short breaks is that one easy way to do is that using this Pomodoro like technique, which means that you basically just divide everything to 20-minute cycles, meaning that you put a timer for 20 minutes and then you start on your task. So for the next 20 minutes, you don't do anything except on the task at hand.
Have you ever tried to like track just how many minutes a day you can keep up like 100% focus? Like have you actually like tracked that amount?
Not really. How would you track it?
I mean, it's like committed to only focusing 100% of anything that you do, and like having like this stop switch that you turn on and turn off, or start and pause, and then at the end of the day check just how many minutes you actually deep worked that day. I once did that for a few weeks, and I noticed that actually I was only able to maybe, or let's put it this way, within 2 to 3 hours I did practically all of the sensible efforts as regards to work that day. So basically, if I just focused 100% 2 hours a day, I probably could do whatever, like nothing for the rest of the day.
Exactly.
It just can be very I don't know, like enlightening for a lot of people if they actually tracked to get a handle of just how much or how little they actually can keep up a real focus. And that's just kind of do something and just kind of work, and you know, shooting the shit on WhatsApp at the same time and answering some petty ass emails that really don't move the needle indeed.
Yeah. And you know, I mean, it's kind of the way that I guess you couldn't say that it forces us, but you know, this society or this information age, it kind of encourages us just by the nature to I mean, you just do the opposite, meaning that, I mean, I also realized that like you know, I mean, usually after breakfast I like to take a time just to, you know, drink my coffee and read newspapers and whatever. But I realized that usually that when I start like reading the paper and then like I read it for a few minutes, then I go read something else, meaning that I switch to a different paper or I switch to social media.
Look at what like TikTok is doing to everybody's brain if they use that. I intentionally just I tried it for once or a few weeks, and then I realized I really want to like delete this application because you know, I'm no better than anyone else. I just get hooked to it.
So basically, I mean, this society is not working on improving our focus level.
No,
I mean,
definitely not. Everybody's attention span is like seconds these days.
And I mean, it can happen so easily. Like oftentimes I'm in the middle of reading some article, but then I just realized, why did I started looking at Facebook or social media, or not even social media, but just email or whatever, or someone sends a message, I look at that or whatever.
Yeah, so. Funny thing, I found out yesterday actually. I bought these VR glasses.
Which ones?
Quest 3s. They're Quest 3s. They're pretty good actually.
Nice.
Well, that's not the subject of this, but yeah, they're worth purchase. But one funny thing I noticed that I test like watching these documentaries with them. You know, it's like basic, like almost like a cinema view, but I actually just was watching the document with everything else totally black or blank. And I just noticed like how much better focus I was able to withhold that way, because the threshold of, you know, grabbing your phone or doing whatever just wasn't there. I would have had to gone through the effort of taking off the glasses, which is obviously not a big thing to do.
But it's still inconvenient, right?
Inconvenient, exactly. And just like there's no other windows, no popping notifications, no nothing. And like I said, it's like it's like a novelty these days to seek those experiences.
Yeah.
Actually, I was talking with my friend about this earlier today about like probably the AR classes. I mean, even those have the capability for AR, but it's not that good just yet, as opposed to like having like regular eye classes onto which you had like these holograms, if you will. But then if you worked with those, you would still be exposed to so many other distractions, right? So sometimes the VR can be a good thing if harnessed well enough. Like as with everything, like the technology gives us so much, but they also take us away from us if you don't harness it correctly.
Yeah. So it definitely needs that we like consciously put the extra effort, like being able to work in such a way that we
and also
just
like
focus.
Exactly. What I was talking about earlier is how little most of us have like attention, or the ability to focus is more or less like a muscle, right? So you only have so much in reserve for every day. So what I've tried to develop lately, as far as mindset goes, is just like committing those, I don't know, 4 to 5 hours a day, and regardless if you get a lot of done or if you get nothing done, you still just take the rest of the day off, instead of just like blaming yourself. I need to do this, and the constant nagging feeling in the back of your head, because you're never gonna get it all done anyway. So I guess just like what I'm trying to do these days, just consider the work day to end by noontime, regardless of what you get done or not. Because otherwise you're going to be in limbo. You're kind of like have this bad guilty conscience of not having done enough, and then you probably won't sleep that well, and it's a negative cycle.
Yeah, definitely.
But I don't know, like how many hours do you think you on an average kind of work, like deep work?
Well, it's not a lot, is it? Like, let's say that deep work means that there's no interruptions. First of all,
do you constantly like facilitate deep work, or is it just, do you have like naturally good focus naturally?
Well, I can focus pretty easily, meaning that just even I mean, just try to reject everything else and just focus on the task at hand. But that also, I mean, that definitely requires the extra effort, because I mean,
could you work like hipster style at a cafe with a laptop? Is that something you do?
Yeah, I could do it. No problem.
Yeah, I tend to like the silence is important.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a good practice also to kind of practice that you just block out everything, meaning that if you are in this environment that is super noisy and there's a lot of like a lot of activities, a lot of lights and whatever, then just take a moment to really kind of like try to block everything.
Yeah, I hate the fact that the WhatsApp has had this ability to use on your PC browser, right, for several years now. But it's like one of the biggest distractions for me. When you stop think about it, what if you actually worked like a physical job where constantly your friends were popping by and sharing some fucking cat memes with you, but when it happens on their PC, you just don't treat it as big of a threat.
Well,
sometimes I block it, but then I've made the mistake of having also some business contacts with my WhatsApp number, so I have to deal with those channels too. So nowadays I try to like put all the business related communications on Telegram instead, and only use WhatsApp for those cat memes.
Yeah, and but I mean, in that sense, it's pretty easy to focus online because okay, if someone is I mean, just close the application, right? Just disable all notifications.
Yeah, it's both down to being aware of what's going on.
Yeah, and but one thing is like when we think about where are we going to focus for the like next week or like especially like shorter time period, then I mean it really needs that we have the realization that really like what are the things that we really need to do, like what are really the things that actually move the needle, because it's so easy to just fill our whole week with things that are simple to do and
make you feel important, especially like in this business model, because you also often, even when you don't do anything, you kind of still get something, right, passively. And sometimes it might even be a temptation intentionally not to do anything because if it doesn't age, don't scratch it. So I often find myself just like getting very serious about or majoring in minor things.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely a good point.
But that's also the thing, that planning always depends on context, which means that even if you are great at planning things, then when you go to a new business model or whatever, then you need to, it takes time to be able to plan better, meaning that you are able to define like smaller goals that actually make sense, that are really the things that it's not that, okay, I just feel this report or whatever, like nonsense things. No, I mean, sure, I mean, it's stuff that you need to do, but it's not gonna make any bit of a difference in the long run. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk quickly about this information overload. So yeah, I mean, we live in this information age, so we are bombarded with all this stuff all the time. So it really matters that we are actually organized, meaning that imagine the time when there was only paper or whatever. Imagine that chaos. But nowadays, with different kinds of or even just like past few decades when there were no cloud services, like with cloud services, everything is so much more simple because we can move things instantly, and we are able to search anything. So basically, if we are just like having putting a bit of effort into making things organized, naming things in an organized manner, then it's gonna be much easier to actually find the things that we need to find faster. And one key thing is also always having this ease of access, which means that okay, there are certain reports that we need to find that it's so annoying feeling like, okay, you're talking with your team member or whatever, and then you need to have some kind of report in order to make decisions, but you don't find it, you don't have access to it. And then, okay, I need to know how much inventory there is. Like I need to know how much, what kind of orders did we just do? Like how many units are we going to have? But are we able to send enough to all these different marketplaces or whatever? So just making things right from the start just makes things a lot more easier. And yeah, I mean, Google had this kind of like slogan that says "Don't sort." So that kind of also talks about or describes their approach to things, meaning that okay, you don't need to go super anal about having different kinds of folder structure or anything. Like just by searching from Drive, you should be able to find what you actually need to have, as long as you have like named it in such a way that it actually makes sense. Yeah, I mean, absolutely using cloud-based storage and calendars and whatnot. And personally, I mean, also make sure that your team members use this, like that they use calendars, so that they can never say that, oh, okay, I didn't realize that we have this call at this time. What do you mean? And you have can you see it on your calendar right now? Yeah, it's there. Okay, so what do you mean that you didn't know that you're supposed to be there right now? And just making sure that you actually have the right kind of tools that actually make more sense. Meaning that, I mean, when we are doing planning things, simplest form is just doing the, using Google Docs for weekly planning. But the weekly goals thing, that's supposed to be for high-level things, meaning that you are not adding tasks such as, next week I need to send an email to that and that person. Come on, that's the thing that's too small of a task to actually add to the weekly goals thing. So that's why we use like different tools for task management. For example, there's like Asana and Trello, and I'm personally using, like, for my own personal stuff, I'm using this OmniFocus, which is a cool tool, but it doesn't really matter which tool you use as long as it's easy to use and so on. And then CRM system to be able to send newsletters and gathering data about your customers and so on. Communication tools as like Slack and so on. Slack and Zoom, which so that you are able to communicate with your team the most effective way that you need.
What was the app called? OnlyFocus?
OmniFocus.
OmniFocus, okay. I heard
yes, I can write it.
All right.
Here. So it's on the desktop. I guess the desktop is only for Mac, but then no, it also has this iPhone version and so on. Funny thing is that I bought it like many years ago, like probably like 6-7 years ago, and at that time they have this funny pricing is that, the old way of pricing software is that you just have one price and you have lifetime access and no problem. But like what we have seen past years, that pretty much every software has moved over to this, that no, they are now offering like monthly subscription.